sport utility vehicles. They are taking over the world. They are big, practical, fast, and somehow cooler than ever. And the good part, some of the best ones are now shockingly affordable. And that's why today I am showing you 6 SUVs that will definitely make you consider buying one by the end of this video. Keep in mind that this list is purely based on my taste. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's start this list with the Volkswagen Touareg 7L. The first generation. This is the car that basically created the European luxury SUV segment. Back in the early 2000s, the Touareg was absolutely insane value for the money. It offered real off-road capability, luxury, and brute strength all in one package. And today, it might be one of the most affordable heavy-duty SUVs on the market. The Touareg was offered with a range of engine variations. Almost all of them delivered massive torque and serious towing capability. On the petrol side, you had the 3.2 and 3.6 liter VR6 with an unmistakable sound. Then a very cool 4.2 liter V8 that pulled hard and felt properly powerful. And of course, the absolutely baffling 6 liter W12, which still sounds unreal even today. These engines were strong, powerful, and yes, expensive to maintain. But if you actually took care of them, you ended up with a high-power SUV that felt special in every way. But of course, you can't forget about the real legends, the diesels. For the towing enthusiasts, there were the small 2.5 liter inline 5, and then the common and nearly indestructible 3 liter V6 TDI, and finally, the monster, the king, the engine that ruled them all, the 5 liter V10 TDI. The diesel Touaregs were absolute towing machines. You could tow anything with them. And yes, Balkan car dealers loved them, because you could pull multiple vehicles at once, even if it definitely wasn't legal. And here comes the crazy part. Today you can find these for incredibly low prices. Some start around 1,000 euros, and for under 5,000 euros you can find almost every single engine variations. Even the V10 TDI, which still feels surreal when you think about that V10 under the hood. But now let's be honest, these cars can be functional, daily drivable, fun and reliable. But only if you take care of them. Because yes, they can be a real pain in the ass. Timing chains never cheap out on. Always go OEM even though it hurts your wallet. Injectors and DPF don't like short city trips. Drive them on the highway, put them under load. Let them work. Do these and you will have yourself an indestructible, high-power towing SUV that still makes absolutely no sense for that money. And this is why the Touareg 7L is still one of the most underrated SUVs ever built. Next up, we have an old British mule, the 3rd generation Range Rover, the L322. This car was a fresh start for Range Rover. Incredible styling, a truly premium interior, and the kind of presence that made it feel like something the Queen herself could be cruising in. But here's the thing, the L322 wasn't just a fancy luxury SUV. It was a working mule on steroids. This wasn't the car that was made only for the streets and the country clubs. It was built to work. Farmers loved it, especially on the British farmlands. The full-time all-wheel drive system was phenomenal in mud, snow, and horrible weather conditions. And that's exactly why people trusted it. Of course, it wasn't cheap. If you wanted something basic, you bought the simple Land Rover. But if you were a higher-end farmer with a lot of land, or if you wanted something that was comfortable, capable, and cool, you bought a black Range Rover. The L322 was also offered with a seriously impressive range of engine variations. Petrol engines included the supercharged 4.2 liter V8 from Jaguar, available between 2005 and 2009, with 400 horsepower and 560 Nm of torque. Then there was the 4.4 liter BMW M62 V8 from 2002 to 2005, later replaced by the 4.4 liter AJ41 V8 from Land Rover between 2005 and 9. This engine had 305 horsepower and 441 Nm of torque. And then came the big one, the supercharged 5 liter V8, available between 2009 and 12. This huge V8 was paired with 518 horsepower and an incredible 625 Nm of torque. An absolute madness in an SUV like this. And now the good old diesels were the smallest but very capable 3 liter BMW M57 inline 6, the 3.6 liter twin turbo V8 with 268 horsepower and 640 Nm of torque. Later this engine was replaced by the 4.4 liter biturbo V8 diesel, pushing 339 horsepower and 700 Nm of torque. Both V8 diesels had a little bit of Ford DNA in them, but they were very strong engines. Yes, they had their weak points such as cooling system, camshaft tensioners, and valve cover gaskets, but if you maintain them properly, they were robust, torque monster workhorses. And the price is now amazing. Today you can find an L322 Range Rover from 3,000 euros, and for around 5,000 euros you can get a cleaner, well-spec'd example. And that's exactly why the L322 is such a great choice for car enthusiasts today. It's comfortable, capable, cool, and when it comes to towing, it's incredible. You can see a clean L322 at almost every car meet, not as a show car, but as the car that is towing the show car. And this is why the L322 still earns respect everywhere it goes. Now let's move on to a real German torque machine. The Mercedes-Benz ML Class W164. This was the second generation of the M Class and the predecessor of the GLE that we know today. The W164 was officially introduced in 2005 after nearly 5 years of development. And then the production went until 2011 with a facelift introduced in 2007. And honestly, it showed, because the W164 looked amazing. The interior was properly luxurious and the exterior had that heavy, intimidating presence, like something straight out of a mafia movie. It was robust, elegant, and extremely capable. With permanent 4MATIC all-wheel drive and a limited slip differential, this ML wasn't just a city SUV. It was excellent for off-road driving, incredibly stable in bad conditions, and absolutely perfect for towing. And then there were the engines, because Mercedes really went all in here. The petrol engines included the 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 in the ML 350, 272 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque. Add 2 electric motors and you got to the ML 450 hybrid with 341 horsepower and 570 Nm of torque. In the ML 500, you initially got the 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 with 306 horsepower and 406 Nm of torque. Later, in 2008, it was replaced by the 5.5-liter naturally aspirated V8 found in the ML 500 and ML 550. This engine had 389 horsepower and 530 Nm of torque. And of course, we can't forget the king, the ML 63 AMG, powered by the legendary 6.2-liter M156 naturally aspirated V8, producing 510 horsepower and 630 Nm of torque. An absolute monster. Now, on the diesel side, Mercedes offered some of their best CDI engines that were efficient and strong. First, the indestructible 3-liter V6 TDI, found in the ML 280, 300, 320 and ML 350 CDI. This engine went through multiple updates with power ranging from 189 to 211 horsepower, and the torque climbing from 440 to 540 Nm. And then there was the big one, the OM 629 4-liter V8 turbo diesel, found in the ML 420 and 450 with 306 horsepower and a massive 700 Nm of torque. And now the price. Honestly, it still feels unreal. You can find the W164 from around 2,500 euros. At 5,000 euros, you can get a clean, well-maintained example that's ready to work. And if you're looking closer to the 10,000 euro mark, you'll find beautiful cars with full options, powerful engines, and solid service history. These cars are perfect for towing. They are robust, loaded with torque, and can handle heavy loads all day long without breaking a sweat. This is why the W164 is such a popular choice in the car community, as a towing car, a daily, and even as a base for some really cool modifications. And now we are entering the top 3, and this is one of my personal favorites on the list, the BMW X5 E70. Yes, it's the car that drinks oil like a German drinks beer at Oktoberfest. But still, we can't hate it. The X5 E70 was introduced in 2006 and stayed in production until 2013. And let's be honest, you had to go for a facelift here. It looks absolutely amazing. Robust, muscular and strong. This thing oozes power when you look at it. And the interior, pure BMW luxury. Leather seats everywhere, heated steering wheel, and a driving experience that still feels special today. It's comfortable at high speeds, incredibly stable, and most importantly, it feels safe. The E70 was packed with some serious technology. For example, BMW's iDrive. Then there was the unique and cool LED taillights, optional head-up display, active steering, adaptive suspension and active anti-roll bar. Back then, this X5 was the top of the line. It also came with BMW's xDrive all-wheel drive system. Sure, we all know that this is not the best all-wheel drive system ever made, but it still performed well, especially for towing and light off-road use. So yes, this X5 was ready to work. Engine options were also absolutely wild. Among the petrol engines, you had the original 3-liter inline-6 N52 with 268 horsepower and 350 Nm, and also the N55 with 302 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque. Then you got the big and powerful 4.8-liter N62 V8 with 350 horsepower and 475 Nm of torque. You also got the smaller but much stronger 4.4-liter N63 V8 with 402 horsepower and 610 Nm of torque. And then came the legend, the X5M, powered by the 4.4-liter S63 V8, producing 547 horsepower and 680 Nm of torque. Absolutely ridiculous for a family SUV. The diesel engines were just as insane. That was the early but strong M57 3-liter inline-6 in the 30D with 232 horsepower and 520 Nm of torque, while the 35D came with 282 horsepower and 580 Nm of torque. Then you got the newer N57 3-liter inline-6 from 2011 with 242 horsepower and 540 Nm. Add the bi-turbo system to it and you got the real towing king, producing 302 horsepower and 600 Nm. And of course we can't forget the peak of BMW madness, the M50D with the N57S tri-turbo, delivering 376 horsepower and 740 Nm of torque. Yes, a tri-turbo in a family SUV. Absolutely unnecessary, but absolutely brilliant. If you wanted to cruise in style and still destroy everyone at the traffic light with the kids in the backseat, then you went for the X5M or the diesel M50D. And today the prices are surprisingly affordable. You can pick up an E70 from around 3,000 euros. For a cleaner one with lower mileage, 5 to 6,000 euros is the sweet spot. Even the X5M isn't completely insane anymore. Solid examples start at around 13 to 14,000 euros, and there's always room for negotiation. But honestly, it doesn't matter if you choose the 30D or an X5M, this car will leave you smiling either way because the BMW X5 E70 delivers an amazing experience no matter the engine size. Now we are stepping into the top 2, and this one always surprises people. This is the first generation Porsche Cayenne. Because when Porsche announced an SUV back in the early 2000s, purists lost their minds. How dare Porsche make a family SUV? And yet without the Cayenne, Porsche as we know it today probably wouldn't even exist. The first generation Cayenne launched in 2002 and ran until 2010, known as the 955 and later the facelifted 957. And let's be honest again, just like with the BMW, you really wanted to go for the facelift. Sharper design, better tech, improved interiors, and overall it just looks more mature and aggressive. The interior is pure Porsche luxury. High quality leather and the cockpit style dashboard with buttons everywhere. It is comfortable, spacious and incredibly fun to drive. It almost gives you that signature Porsche thrill while being in a big family SUV. All-wheel drive, low center of gravity and the optional air suspension that makes it comfortable and safe on the highway and surprisingly capable off-road. The exterior design had some quirks at the start, but with the facelift this became the best Cayenne in my opinion. It has a sharp and muscular design, a wide stance and that classic sporty look. The best part is that it doesn't try to look elegant or fancy. The Cayenne wants to look aggressive, one that you will be scared of. It looks serious, like it's ready to tow a boat, then climb a mountain, and then do 250 km an hour on the autobahn right after. That is when you realize that this is not just an SUV. This is a Porsche that just happens to be tall. And now let's talk about the engines, because Porsche absolutely lost their mind in here. Between petrol engines you could choose the 3.2 liter and 3.6 liter VR6. The 3.2 liter made 247 horsepower and 310 Nm, while the 3.6 liter had 286 horsepower and 385 Nm of torque. Not crazy, but smooth and reliable. Then you got the big ones, the 4.5 liter V8 with 340 horsepower and 420 Nm of torque, already very fast for its time. And now the pure madness starts with the Cayenne Turbo and Turbo S. The early Turbo and Turbo S engine was a 4.5 liter twin-turbo V8 producing 444 horsepower and 620 Nm in the Turbo, and in the Turbo S you got 514 horsepower and 720 Nm of torque. Then came the new engine, the 4.8 liter twin-turbo V8, delivering 493 horsepower and 700 Nm in the Turbo, while 542 horsepower and 750 Nm in the Turbo S. Yes, in the mid-2000s Porsche was selling 500 plus horsepower SUV that could embarrass sports cars anywhere. Then came the diesels that also played a big role in Europe. Of course we had the 3 liter V6 TDI that offers solid torque and much better fuel economy, making it a popular daily option. Not the most exciting engine, but incredibly practical and cheap to run compared to the V8s, and let's not forget about that 237 horsepower and 550 Nm of torque that this diesel engine made. Now the favorite part, let's talk prices, because this is where the Cayenne becomes really interesting. Today you can find the first gen Cayenne from around 2,000 euros, but if you're looking for a facelift model in a decent condition with reasonable kilometers on the clock, for the 6,000 euros is the realistic sweet spot. Even the Cayenne Turbo that was once a 150,000 euro monster can now be found from around 10,000 euros. This is just insane if you think about what you're getting for that money. Of course, maintenance is not cheap, and yes, fuel consumption is optimistic at best. But if you want a luxury SUV that still feels special every time you drive it, something that sounds incredible, drives like nothing else in its class, and carries a Porsche badge, then the Cayenne is your go-to SUV, but not before the number 1 on the list, at least for me. Finally, the top one on my list is the SUV that gives the most car for your money, and that is the Audi Q7 4L. When Audi introduced the Q7 in 2005, their goal was simple: make the biggest, most comfortable, most over-engineered SUV in the segment. And honestly, they absolutely nailed it. The first generation Audi Q7 was produced from 2005 until 2015. And yes, just like with the others, the facelift models are the one to go for. Sharper headlights, LED technology, cleaner bumpers, and a slightly updated interior made a huge difference. This thing is massive, it is long, wide, and feels incredibly planted. The Q7 shares this platform with the Volkswagen Touareg and Porsche Cayenne, but it has that classic, unmistakable Audi design. That means it feels luxurious but looks aggressive and intimidating. This is the car that you don't want following you at night. This is the SUV that means business. The interior feels like $1 million. It is high-end even by today's standards. Soft, quality materials everywhere, pure quality leather, and proper aluminum or wood trim. This interior is one of the best layouts Audi has ever made. You can get it as a 5-seater and also a 7-seater, both with a huge cargo space where you can fit a 4.2-liter Audi V8 for your S5 or S4 build. On the road, the Q7 is exactly what you want it to be. It is quiet, smooth, and extremely stable at high speeds. With quattro all-wheel drive and optional air suspension, it glides on the highway and still handles snow, rain, and bad roads like they don't exist. This is a true all-weather, all-purpose machine. Now, engine-wise, you got options for sure. If you wanna go for petrol engines, you can get the cool-sounding 3.6-liter VR6 producing 276 horsepower and 260 Nm of torque. Then there's the powerful naturally aspirated 4.2-liter V8 producing 345 horsepower and 440 Nm of torque. But now, diesel is where the Q7 comes to life. You can go for the reliable and robust 3-liter TDI engines with power figures like 230, 237 and 500 and 550 Nm of torque. Make sure you never go for AdBlue. Then there is the big 4.2-liter TDI with 322 horsepower and 760 Nm of torque, which is absolutely mind-blowing. But now, here comes the big one, the king of all diesels, the true powerhouse. It is the 6-liter V12 twin-turbo, delivering 493 horsepower. And now you should sit down because this pairs with 1000 Nm of torque. And let me remind you that this is a 7-seater family SUV with a 6-liter 500 horsepower, 1000 Nm monster under the bonnet. Even today that number sounds ridiculous. I don't know what Audi smoked when making this engine and putting it into a Q7, but give me some please. All in all, the diesels are smooth, powerful and perfect for towing, road trips and daily use. And incredibly, even the 6-liter TDI is not even consuming that much fuel. And now the price. Today you can find an Audi Q7 4L starting from around 3,000 euros. You can get a clean example for around 4,000 to 5,000 euros, but if you wanna go for a facelift version with lower kilometers, they usually sit around 5,000 to 7,000 euros. And even the V8 versions are shockingly affordable for what they offer. But sadly, the V12 is a different story. Now it is rare, collectible and still expensive. Sadly, they start at around 22,000 euros, but for that money you are getting one in a mint condition. Now I know that the Q7 is big, and yes, maintenance can be expensive, but if you take care of the necessary things, you won't have any problem with it. If your foot is heavy, then it can drink fuel like there is no tomorrow, but if you drive it well, you won't be disappointed. But if you want one SUV that can tow everything, carry 7 people, tow heavy loads, cruise comfortably at high speeds, and still feel premium every single day, the Audi Q7 is unbeatable. But now let's talk about why this car is the number one on my list. I own one. Yes, I have a 2009 Q7 3-liter TDI since 2019 and I am in love with this car. I had to do the necessary diesel maintenance, so that means the EGR and DPF and also some sealants, but now it's better than ever. I will definitely show you around it in another video if you guys are interested about it. So yeah, that is why, in my opinion, the Audi Q7 4L earns the number one spot as the most affordable SUV on this list. So this is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment down below which SUV was your favorite, or do you own any of these? And now all I'm asking from you guys is to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video and hit subscribe so you won't miss the next one and you can help me grow the channel. Thank you so much again, and now stay very positive, drive very safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.